What if everything you're searching for is already inside you? Watch this compilation episode from our spiritual development series.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. Me and Rodney here, we just did a recap for FIC. Definitely check that out. But well, I guess it's going to be here. Essentially, the conversation that we were having, the message, Jesus is a life preserver. You want to give them some context on what that was?
Yeah, we talked about, we looked at Noah and the fact that, God was so upset with the world that because they're so sinful, he destroyed the world, but he went to Noah because he was righteous and blameless, and he gave him a life preserver. And he pretty much said, hey, I'm gonna start life through you again. And he built the ark and he did just that. And so we were just talking about how the fact that we all can get a life preserver through Christ. I mean, we all can be saved through him. Mm-hmm. But we swim in this sea of sin, sometimes not knowing that we need a life preserver.
Yeah.
And that sin will drown us if we don't.
Yeah, and so I would definitely say, if you want to get the full message, because he went through the word scripture to scripture, definitely go to FIC to kind of get the full message. Right here, we're going to transition to the recap that was recorded. It's attached to that message, but we're having it by itself right here, because I think it's so necessary. It's necessary to hear, but I really want this audience to hear it because I think there might be a few more people that aren't believers yet, that might not have accepted Christ yet, who this conversation could change everything.
Yeah.
So thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. And without further ado, here's the episode.
Today, we're going to talk about this. Christ is our life preserver. Now, I shared the story about how I don't know how to swim and how before I get on the boat, I always put a life preserver on. Yeah, what's that?
That's the swim.
Oh, okay, that's a swim. I don't know how to swim, but I don't know how to do it like that. And this talked about Noah and him building the ark and how, pretty much God, he had faith, but God threw him a life preserver. He destroyed the world, because people were so sinful, but he was blameless and righteous. And God used Noah to really repopulate the earth, but he had to have some faith. He had to take the life preserver that was given to him, get pulled in, and then be obedient to what God told him to do. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about, and we use the word life preserver, but Christ is our rescuer. He's all these different things. But what? And I say this, I know you and I can articulate this, but what do people need to be rescued from when we talk about Christ? Why does Christ need to rescue someone who is yet to accept him? What are they being rescued from?
There's a long answer, there's a really long answer, and there's a short answer.
You say really, really long. So just squeeze the two together and make it medium. No, go ahead. Wherever you led to how you had the answer.
Well, I think so. The question, he's saving you from the penalty of sin and death. Mm-hmm. Straightforward. That is the short answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, going deeper to kind of understand, what was that? What is that? Mm-hmm. Why is it so significant? Why should you even care about it at all? And is it just some, mythical thing? Mm-hmm. Well, this was the determiner of your eternal life, or eternal death. Mm-hmm. And what happened was, essentially, if you go back into Genesis, we talked about this, that we all know about the fall. Adam and Eve, ate from the tree. The serpent was saying, "Hey, look, what you think about this one?" Mm-hmm. and then they ate from a tree. There was the fall and everything. What we don't really talk much about, or what's not directly outlined specifically in that section, right after that, is the implications of that decision. Mm-hmm. Now, God had said, if you eat from that tree, you will surely die.
Yes.
Now, death wasn't supposed to be a thing designed for you or me. Yep. That wasn't for us. Mm-hmm. And so when it happened, when we ended up in that situation, that changed literally everything. I mean, even down to the foundation of the earth. It literally changed how the ecosystem was gonna be.
Yes.
And so But because that penalty right there is so severe, because God's the king, right? You disobey the king's direct order, there's implications. Like if he says, let there be light, the sun happens.
Yes.
Now he says, don't eat from this tree, but he gives you the opportunity, and you eat from that tree. You got to understand that has to be very, very significant, very sensitive thing. Do not pass go.
Get away from that. Yes.
Get away from that.
Yes.
Now, we messed up. And so what happened after that is like, look, you have a place in this area that only Satan and the rebellion is supposed to be. Only them. Now you have chosen to give yourself the opportunity to go there. And so because of that, now we get the whole redemption story. Jesus has to atone for this. Something has to happen to actually put us back in right standing. Yes. That's why he had to come. I mean, we couldn't do it ourselves. We couldn't do it ourselves because from that point we were messed up.
Yeah.
And so that the penalty that had to be paid, the price, it's written that we were bought with a price. That penalty that had to be paid, there had to be the perfect sacrifice for it. Now, Jesus being here, living on earth, we all people on this earth, we do X, Y, and Z. We ask God for forgiveness, and he's faithful and just to forgive us of our sins, cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Cool. Jesus didn't have that opportunity. He could, if he messed up, if he decided to have a wild weekend,
it would change. It would have showed he wasn't perfect.
And that messes it up for everybody, for forever, right?
Yeah, there's no true, pure, final sacrifice that's worthy. And so, I mean, you lay that I'm gonna try to summarize what you said to a certain degree, but the fact that the fall ushers sin in the world, which we are born with a sinful nature and desires, because I always say that you look at a baby is all about, and as sweet as they are, they want what they want. They want to be fed, they want to be changed, they want to be held, and when it don't happen, they let you know. So they're not worried about the parent. They're not saying, I'm not going to cry today because I want to.
You look busy.
You look
tired
busy.
From your work.
No, we're born, and I say it's because we're born with a selfish heart. That's how we wire because of the fall. And that life preserver, that Christ, we in order to be saved from the penalty, like you said, of that sinful heart, which is that eternal death, you need Christ. You need a savior. It's like me swimming in water. If I'm drowning, I'm gonna need somebody to save me to get out of that water. And that's what we need, because sin is like deep water. It's deep water that people try to swim in and they think that they're gonna be able to navigate, but they wind up getting drowned.
You wind up drowning.
Yeah.
And I think that's perfect, because the reality is sin is a deep water, and you can't learn how to swim. There is no going to a class on this. You can't.
I'm gonna navigate these waters. Yeah.
You need Jesus.
Yeah.
Flat out. That's the only way you don't drown.
No, I think we should stay there for a minute, because I think people do think that, well, I'm not gonna allow it to take me down. It's that swimmer that's like been swimming for years. There's no way in the world I'm gonna succumb to that. I could swim these waters with no problem. And sadly, Malcolm Jamal Warner, who was the actor in the Cosby Show, unfortunately drowned here recently. So I was reading about what happened, and apparently they had what they call a rip tide. Okay, and what it is, it's I didn't know this. I just read it. Okay, so look. It's a current, like everything's coming to the shore, but it's a current, a narrow current that takes things away from the shore, and it's very rapid. So it's like within everything, it's like this channel of water that's pushing everything away. So what it does, people get caught in it and they try to swim against it, and it keeps taking them further and further out, and they get tired. And so they said a rip current got them, And that's what pulled him out, and to the point that it caused him to drown. So I say that to say that no matter how good a swimmer you are, if you allow yourself to get in some type of water or some type of situation, it's going to take you down. And sin does that. You cannot outswim sin in your life. You can't, it's going to take you down. And we got examples of that. You know, you've seen individuals who thought their sins were hidden. They keep sinning, and all of a sudden it comes out. Before you know it, they go from being here to down here.
There's the reality of, if I know I can't swim, I ain't got no business playing around that water.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like that's just not smart. I think
It's not.
Right, I just got no business doing it. But when you take it into when you make that sin, it's the same kind of thing. Because again, you can't pay the price. There's nothing you can do to actually somehow magnificently be able to swim your way out of this thing. Mm-hmm. You just can't pay it. You will never be able to. Yeah. You need Jesus, which means that it's like, okay, yeah, you know, we've got the believers out there who they might have gotten saved because their grandma told them that they should do it, so they did the whole song and dance and everything was cool, but because they didn't really they haven't changed. They're over there dipping their toe in, they fall down, they repent, all right, Jesus comes, helps you up, and he gonna help you up every time. He's gonna help you up every time. But why you keep playing around with this? Mm-hmm. Because there's going to be a point, like there's going a point where it's like you fall down one time and you get snatched by a gosh dang shark. Yeah. That's the end of you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There ain't coming back from that.
Sin's gonna take you out.
It's gonna take you out. It is going to take you out, because that shark is the devil. Mm-hmm. That shark is Satan. Mm-hmm. That shark is the person who says, you know what? I don't like you. I don't like that you're here. And this gun, I'm about to end you right now.
Yeah. And that whole thing, using the water example, the water can look just as calm and peaceful. In your mind, you're going to be tempted to say, you know what? The water is perfect. It's calm. The weather's great. I can go out, I can swim as far as I want in this. And sin does that. Sin is attractive. Mm-hmm. It looks good. And and it's fun, right? You know, people, they don't sin because it's not fun.
Let's get on the boat.
People go out, they do what they do because they get some joy out of it.
It's thrilling.
Exactly, thrilling. Mm-hmm. But there's a price, an eternal price that comes with it. And like I said, once again, that deep water, it will drown you. Like people who, if you go out and party all the time, you party out with a certain group and you hitting these clubs that they doing everything in, pretty soon you're going to start doing some of the stuff they're doing in those clubs. Pretty soon you're going to start doing what you see everybody do in the club. Mm-hmm. So that, thinking that you're going to go in and you're just going to walk out, or I'm only going to party for an hour or two. Yeah, you start an hour, then it's 2, 3, 4, and then it's all night. And then you going out every day. You just been drowned by sin.
You have an advantage when you have accepted Jesus in your life, because you, at least in your mind, you know that there's somebody there. There is a life preserver. Mm-hmm. That you know that if you are sinking, you have that thought of the Holy Spirit is like, come on. I'm right here. I can help you. Just go ahead. I can come get you. Yeah. And you have that. But to that person who's never accepted Jesus, it's like they go off into the deep end, and they're hoping that they might learn how to swim while drowning in the water. And it's like they're just flailing, they're fighting, and you see this in real life. Yeah. They're doing everything that they can, everything within their power to try to get out from drowning in this water, but you can't.
You just said it, because there are people who have yet to kind of, I would say, accept Christ maybe formally and really know that he can save them. What can we say, or what can we share for folks who are kind of going through that? Because they trying to swim in this deep water. They want to be rescued, but they're not understanding that Christ is the one that needs to rescue them. And I guess it's a deep question, because it's the same question we have for people where we might have in our families that, Christ could, if you accepted him, your life would be different. I guess maybe we can talk about how their life would be different if they allow themselves to be rescued by Christ. Maybe that's probably the best way to approach it, is to talk about, how your life changed when you accept that life preserved from Christ.
There's the how life will change, and I'm gonna definitely go to that.
Mm-hmm.
But where you started, I kind of want to touch on the person who hasn't really come to the realization that they can't swim.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I think there's a point where, and we've talked about it before, like lukewarm Christians, where it's like you might be able, you might have enough weight on you where you you float for a little bit and it might seem like you're doing all right.
Yeah.
But the reality is like you're drowning. Like you're just drowning slower than other people.
Yeah.
And so, but like the person who is just straight up sinking, it's very blatant, very clear. You are using everything that you look. If you've ever, let's say, if you've ever been in a pool and you've been underwater and like what it feels like not to be able to breathe, right? You kick, you scratch, you do everything that you can to get air because you know that there's a very short amount of time that you will get before it's over. That's it. And so to that person who is like, who has been drowning, and you've tried everything, right? You're really trying to find maybe a hope in a person. You're trying to find hope in some sort of religious organization. You're trying to find hope in the government. You're trying to find hope in these material things, whatever it might be. And you're doing this stuff. You're trying to seek this information, and it's not quite getting you because you feel like you just can't breathe. The bills are piling up. The health is jacked. Relationships terrible. And it's like you feel like everything is caving in around you, literally like drowning, but you just have not given God the opportunity to save you because maybe you didn't like what the pastor said. You didn't like, how they presented this thing. You feel like that thing is wrong or whatever. I would argue, I would say, don't drown.
Yeah. And I think when people are like, well, that's pretty simple. It is, because not drowning meaning accepting Christ.
That's the only way.
Yeah, and that's you said a little earlier, like, that hand, is right there.
I got you. I got you.
I got you. And it's like you're flailing in the water, and you're not seeing the hand is right there to pull you out. And that's
Here's the thing. They probably do. You probably looked at the hand. You're like, nah, that's not. You can't help me.
Yeah.
No. That's my. My grandma keep telling me about this. You keep telling me to read this Bible. I ain't going to no church. I ain't waking up that early on Sunday. But you still fighting. You still can't even breathe. Bro, give it up. Go take the help.
Yeah, take the life preserver. I mean, and look, that truthfully, and that's what we're talking about. Really, that sums it up. Really. Why not take the life preserver? Why drown when you don't have to?
You don't have to.
Why allow sin to just suffocate you when you don't have to?
You don't have to. And I want you to please remember, you ain't got long.
No.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. We have a special episode for you today. This is one that you do not want to miss. Stay to the entire time. Send it to your dad, send it to your uncle, send it to your son, your nephew, your cousin. This is one of those episodes, all right? Mike, you want to bring us in?
Yeah. So the other day, I was doing my morning readings and studying, and I came across a inspirational reading that it convicted me so much that I'm like, man, I want to send this to my brothers, man. So I took a picture of it and I sent it to the fellas. I sent it to a few other people, actually. Some of y'all might have got it. And the premise was just faith. And it was just talking about how, I'll actually read a little sentence from it. It says, yet faith must be tested and tried before it becomes real in your life. And for me, I've been in a season for at least 10 years. Now, I would say my whole entire life, but really the last 10 years has been an extreme like faith walk. And, you know, right now, just where I'm at, I'm literally taking steps, not seeing anything, but as soon as I put that foot down, it's just somehow it's landing. And I know, you know, based on my spirituality and my connection with God, it's God doing it. But it's me having the faith with my free will, my free mind, because you don't have to take those steps. Yeah. You know, and it's been moments where, if I'm being totally honest, it's a little fear of the unknown. And I'm hesitant to take that step, but I can't say how, like, so many times I just do it anyways, and it's been working out, man. And so me, I feel like, you know, I'm getting close to God. I feel like God's being, you know, he's happy because he's like, yeah, now, you know, it's like watching a kid taking their first, like, come on, you know, like, keep going. And the more they go, the more, you know, hype you get, like, oh, yeah, you doing it, you know. And so that's the type of mode that I'm in right now. So we figured that, you know, let's bring it to the table. You know, these things that we're talking about behind closed doors, but we don't want to gatekeep the information. We want to get it out to you as soon as we can. And so that's, now we're here. You know, we're having a real life conversation. But I do want to ask this question. I know how I felt when I read this and when I was, you know, the mode I was in, but what were you guys thinking when I sent that to you?
Could you read it one more time?
So I'll read that sentence where it says, yet faith must be tested and tried before it becomes real in your life.
Yeah. No, I think that's actually been a theme for me. And I think that's one thing that most people don't want to accept in that. And the reason I say that is because, like, we've had a conversation before, I think on one of the recaps, where it's like you ask God for a new opportunity, you ask God for a raise, you ask God for X, Y, and Z, and then he presented you a problem. Right? And then you cried about it, but the reality is your blessing was in that, because that was the testing part.
Yep.
And it's like that is the process that we must go through. And so, like, man, when I read that, I'm like, that's right on time. That's right on point. There's so many things right now in the world that it's like, you know, you can't trust in too many systems anymore. Like, you really can't. Like, there's a certain point that you have to live by faith. You're almost being forced to at this point, because you're going to have faith in something. But I'm telling you, the most solid ground is God every time.
No, it is. And just, you know, when you shared that and I read it, and it's like you said, that's one line, but you read the whole thing. But man, that line is like so powerful to me. That faith must be tested before it really becomes real to you. And that's true, because, you know, you say you have faith and stuff, and you can say it all day long. You can talk it all day long, but until that test comes, until you really get tested, you find out what you got faith in. Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you might say you got faith in God, but when the test comes, who do you run to? Are you running to, I thought about, who do you run to? Are you running to God, or are you running to the world to fix it? You know what I'm saying?
No, that's so spot on. And it's funny because, so right now, my son's Cave of Adullam training, they've been discussing like the James 1:2 verse, where we're talking about, you know, finding joy when we face that adversity, because we're going to allow perseverance to do its work. This really is the prize. And this is the part where, you know, we say it many different ways. I always like to say the process, you know, but basically what I'm saying is, don't think that it's going to ever be this far off treasure that we're going to catch. Like, we were tricked as kids by, you know, watching cartoons, and you see they go on this treasure hunt and they find this just pile of treasure and everything is all good. And it's like, it never works out like that, because it's an old African proverb when they say, soon as you reach the top of one mountain, you look to your left or your right, and then there's higher mountains. You know, and it's always going to be something more. Like no matter how many earthly goals you accomplish or beat, it's never going to be fulfilling. It's only one way to salvation, and we know that. And so to me, but going back to what you're saying, your faith only gets truly tested when you are really in a situation and you truly don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's literally, by definition, what faith is. It can't be something that, I knew we were going, that's not true faith. No. And unfortunately, a lot of, I don't want to say so-called Christians, but a lot of people, they will be saying, have faith on one end, but as soon as they go through a problem, oh man, this ain't, I can't believe it. It's like, well, hold on, sister. Ethel, I thought we was the old school, and I'm like, well, what's going on? Because as a kid, these is real. I used to think about this all the time. I'm like, you just told me to relax. It's all gonna be all good. God got it worked out. I believed you, but now I'm watching you retreat because it's you. And now I'm confused.
Sister Ethel been going to church for the last 30 years, too.
Yeah. So why is Sister Ethel not going to God when trouble come up and going over here and
exactly.
Thinking, man, I think, man, I love this topic for, when you bring it up, James, I love that verse. They all tie together. And then Martell had said something too, how people will, I forget how you put it, but
pray for a blessing.
Pray for a blessing. And then God bring a problem. But in reality, God don't bring a problem. He brings a test. You know what I'm saying? So that problem, if we take that word problem out and replace it with test or trial, going back to James, it's all to help build us.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
A riddle.
A riddle.
Okay.
This is new for you, but go ahead.
This is a riddle, okay? I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. Who am I?
I formed the light and made darkness. I created peace and made evil.
I make peace and create evil. I form the light and I create darkness.
Well, God did all. I mean, he created light.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Isaiah 45:7, it says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. This stood out to me the other day.
And give that scripture, chapter and verse again so people know where you got it from again.
Yeah.
Isaiah 45:7. Isaiah 45:7. Because I was ruminating.
Yes, sir.
On this one.
Inside joke, y'all. Inside joke. Go ahead.
On this verse, because I was just, it said, because the big mic drop was, I, the Lord, do these things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most people, you're like, oh, God creating evil? Absolutely not. Never. Not my God. My God doesn't create evil. My God created everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But when you break it down, and it's deep, I highly recommend you spend some time. Just just read that, break every word down, okay? And your mind is going to be blown. But laser focusing on that word evil, okay? Now, evil, inside of the definition of it, it has affliction. And now there's 12 purposes of affliction that's in my Bible, okay? To work good in one, to hide pride from man, demonstrates God faithfulness, to test sincerity, to refine, purify, and increase fruitfulness, to increase power and grace, to bring back to God, to humble and correct, to make examples, to manifest love, to give reward, to learn obedience and truth. I form the light and create darkness. Right now, in front of us, we have this big old light dome, okay? And the room is, there's some other lights on behind it. But what happens is, because I have this dome over top of this light, it shapes the light to be pointing right here. So it's focused on us. This is where the highest concentration in this light. If I took that dome off, it would be all over the place. Now, God forming the light automatically creates dark areas. Because otherwise, if he did not form it, it would all just be light. The crazy thing about it is it relates directly to the next part, because it's like he makes peace, it's bestowed, it's achieved. So he's making peace. If there's peace, then what's the alternative? It's got to be something. Right?
Gotta be war.
And so, but the thing is, with this evil, with this affliction, it's not, hey, I'm making evil so that you can suffer from it. It's to test you.
Yeah.
It's to humble you. It's to purify you, to build you up.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we go down, like, we got a little Bible study going on, y'all. 1 Corinthians 10:13, there hath no temptation taking you but such as common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tested above what you are able, but with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. Some of y'all are running away from what God has for you. He gave you a way out and you took it. But that blessing that you've been praying for, it ain't coming. And here's why. Because you keep taking the escape route. The testing was the blessing.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, that's real, man. And it's funny because I think we talked about it here. I know I say it all the time. Like I've literally watched people that I love try to take shortcuts for a lifetime. And every time it sets you back, because while you're trying to, expedite whatever you feel like you need to get right now, your lesson is always going to keep repeating itself. One thing that I don't want to pick on the ladies, but it's like with,
This Mike talking, y'all.
No, but it's like with certain, I have 3 sisters, so but it's like, why you keep choosing this type of man? Or, at what point are we going to change the reference point up? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying my sisters in particular, but I mean, it can happen with men. It's like, why you keep, making this a mistake on your job? Or why do you keep jeopardizing that contract?
Yeah.
And this is the thing where it's like you cannot outrun, you can't, take an escape plan to get around. Certain lessons you have to just endure. You have to persevere through. You have to learn what you need to learn, because if you do get to the other side, but you don't have the tools that you need, it's not going to be a successful mission.
No, it's not. And both of you guys are hitting, though. I mean, a lot of points you're making, when you talk about taking the escape route all the time, when you talk about those same, if you don't learn the lesson, you keep getting the same test. And I equate it to like being in school. If you don't pass the curriculum that you have in 6th grade, you're not going to 7th grade. And you're going to keep repeating until you actually pass all the tests. Now, a better example is probably college or high school, because in college, you're not getting your degree until you finish all the curriculum. And you can keep taking stuff over and over and fail in the same classes over and over again, but you will not get the degree you want until you finish all the classes. And so life, like, what you were saying, and I think what you're saying in a way too, is like, if you don't pass the test that's been put out there for you, you're going to keep getting the same thing you're getting. You're going to stay in the same place you stay. You might want to be up here, but you're going to stay right here until you pass the test the guy's put in front of you. So you talk about evil, and I think that I'm glad you brought it up, because sometimes people look at evil like it's there. It's without it, you wouldn't know what good was. You know what I'm saying? No, you wouldn't. And so we are going to get tested by evil in the world, and sometimes we're going to lose that test. But the point though is that we're going to get tested, and then we learn that, okay, we shouldn't do A, B, C, and D. Then our faith comes in the fact that when we don't do it, we don't get these certain results. We get better results.
Also too, in 1 Corinthians, I think so there's a few different parts that people highlight when you typically hear a sermon about it. But one thing about it is, yes, there's an escape route, but he also said that if the test is there, he made sure that you could handle it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something more than what you can handle.
Yeah.
So he's not going to give, Mike something that's just so unbearable that it's going to cave in on him.
Mm-hmm.
No. If it's on Mike, Mike can get through it. If it's on you, you can get through it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that's the beautiful part of it. It's like, yeah. I'm the Father. I am love, right? Mm-hmm. You have your way out, but this is for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's funny, man, because I'm thinking about I'm ruminating on a lot of different verses, like different things that are coming, but it made me think about. I was reading Job again. I was revisiting that, and it's basically like when Satan came to God, and he's basically like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that. God said, hey, have you met my servant Job? Like. Mm-hmm. And he's like, if you Job, you like, well,
served him up.
Yeah, like, hold on, God, like, because you would think, well, I'm being a faithful servant, I should be rewarded for that, not put to the ultimate test, and that's where we come with, kind of what we're all saying is that you kind of got to just make your peace with, you got to be able to dig deep in the trenches and. You got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable if you want to walk this narrow path.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned it many times where this is a path that is designed. It's not everybody, unfortunately, is not going to be able to stay on. Like it really is. In some ways, it's more difficult to do the right things, or it feels more difficult in the moment in our human conditions. To do the right thing when you feel like everybody else is just, doing whatever, Another way of saying is like ignorance is bliss almost, until you have an awakening, you once were blind, but now you see, you can't just go back to being ignorant and just walking through life with no destination because you've been exposed to too much, and it's really a gift, but at times it can feel like heavy. Mm-hmm. It can feel very heavy because the standard, you're for you to strive to the standard. It's a daily walk. It's like we talk about working out a lot. Like for you to stay in peak condition, it's a daily grind. Mm-hmm. And matter of fact, the deeper you get into your aerobics, your athleticism, is gonna be. You have to be more challenged. It's going to be more difficult by design because if not, you're going to stabilize. You're not getting better. And if you ain't getting better, that means you're getting worse because everybody else is getting better.
Yep.
And that's the type of mindset that you really have to have.
No, you're right. Using Job as an example too, like in the end, and it kind of always come back to faith. God, these tests are put in front of us to make us have more faith in God and rely on him. Because even during that whole Job, when he was, yeah, you're right. I know you're sitting there like, man, Lord, you offered Job up. What's up? Yeah. But God knew, and Job passed the test. He questioned God, but God had to check him. Like, hey, where were you when I made the earth? Where were you at when I did all this? And in the end, Job was like, wow. So his faith in God went to another level. And God gave him twice as much as what he had beforehand. So he passed the test. His faith in God grew more. He understood. So he like, I shouldn't even be questioning God. My bad, God. Why should I even try to question you? And I think when we talk about how our faith grow and different examples, I think we all got them, where it's like, yeah, I know I've questioned God before. Like, Lord, why does it got to be so hard? Why do we have to go through all this? And then later on, you realize that all that stuff you went through, okay, I learned how to do this. I had to deal with that, so I had to learn how to do this. And then you get to a situation where you use all that, and it comes like, oh, that's why I had to go through that.
Yeah.
I go back to the story when the good old mother was talking to Jesus. She was like, hey, look, take my sons, have them come sit at your right and left when you go your kingdom. All right, cool. And then he pretty much said something. He said the most profound statement that as he does, in a very few amount of words. And I don't know if the response of it, I would love to see what their reaction was to it. But he essentially said is, can they drink the cup that I drink? You don't know what I have to go through to be where I am. This ain't for everybody.
No.
The cup my cup, oh, this is not for the faint of heart, brother. This cross that I bear, I mean, skin on the floor, spit on, blood splattered over everybody, face unrecognizable on the cross. You think you can sit where I sit?
Hey, it's real. And as we talk about the whole faith must be tested before it's real, I think, it fits because what we go through in life, we always gonna get tested. And to your point, having the faith that we have in God will get tested, and it makes us stronger. And God will check us, just like in that situation where it's like, wait a minute, it ain't easy. You ain't gonna. This ain't no easy road. But the reward is abundant.
The name above all names.
Yeah, it's abundant. And when I say abundance, it's not just what I would call worldly abundance, where finances and all that. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with having a lot of money. God will bless you with plenty. Trust me, He will. But ain't nothing like having peace. And having everything you need in abundance. It's a difference between having a whole gobs of money and having everything you need in abundance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's one thing that, like, having that peace of mind, peace of spirit is just, it's priceless. It's things that my Fridays tend to be real interesting these days. And I was just talking to my wife, and I was like, man, we're literally living in a previous prayer. Like, we're in it now. And now we're thinking we're praying different things because that's how our mind works. We accomplish one, we want to accomplish the other. But I'm telling her, like, listen, we got to sit and ruminate on these moments. We got to really just, like, we actually doing it. It's certain things when we rattle off. And I'm like, man, 2 years ago, we would have been throwing a parade. Like, this, you know what I'm saying?
Or success.
Even like, it's interesting how the days look, where ownership of your time, I feel, it should be something that every man should have a chance to do. And, I work very, very hard, but then, like, a day like today, I'm like, man, my wife, she been wanting me to go to Pilates. I went to Pilates. We mentored. I did some other things. Now we doing a podcast. And I'm like, to the average mind, it's like, man, he don't even work. He don't even, it's like, no, my work looks different. But it all came from, for one, grace. That's number one. But then it was a lot of sacrifices that they, like you said, like, and not to compare, nothing to Jesus, but it's just like people they'll want to put themselves in certain positions, but they don't want to necessarily go through the steps you had to go through to get there. They don't even want to consider that. They just feel a certain entitlement to where, I want to come into this spot. And it's like, listen, man, even still, it's not what it appears to be. No. Sometimes, how it'll appear you're doing one thing, but it's 20 other things going in motion that you got to have your hands on. You got to you're the one that holds all the responsibility. If something goes wrong, you the one that gets the call. The big stuff, not the little stuff, the big stuff. And that comes with, it's responsibility. Definitely.
Yeah, it's so interesting because it's like what you just said. It's like you got to watch what you pray for. you better be cautious about what you're praying for, because He might give it to you. And it's not going to look the way you thought.
No, it don't mean it won't be good for you. It's just that there's a trade-off. It's not going to be given. It's not a lottery ticket where you
don't want to destroy you with it.
No, He ain't going to destroy. He going to prepare you for it and all that. But it's going to take some work. It's going to take some sweat. It's going to take it's going to take faith. You know what I mean? And some testing to go along with it, so that faith to kind of take root. So I mean, I know we're getting to that point. So it's been good on many different levels. But how can we summarize and kind of give some, some good nuggets for people to take away with, kind of to remember, hey, you know, when faith is getting tested, understand it's not for your bad, it's for your good.
Yeah. So the one thing that I would definitely want the people to take away is, I'll start with Romans 8:28. Mm-hmm. And I know this is one of your favorites too, but in all things work for the good of those that love the Lord. Mm-hmm. So whenever you're going through a time, whether it be challenging, whether it's not, regardless of what it is, just take a moment and try to do a real end-time assessment and just try to understand what do you need to get from this moment? What lessons can you glean from these moments, these particular moments? You know, don't be so quick to just skirt by thinking about, you know, like in the job world, we'll say, oh, you living for the weekend. Don't always just live for the weekend, like enjoy it every day, because every day is a day that the Lord has made. We're never going to see it again. Like it's a gift to be in the present moment. And then the other point was just going into everything's by design, where, you know, in order to accomplish peace, somebody had to go to war for that. Mm-hmm. You know, so just give reference to what we're able to do too, because we live in a time that is more opportunities widely afforded to the people than any other time in this world. So let's just make the best of it.
I would say that you got to remember, to that point, who's in control. God is not competing with the devil. God is not at war with the devil. God put the devil in his place. So now think about why things happen. Think about the things you've prayed for. Think about how you have been molded by the things you have suffered. Because Jesus, it even talked about, literally in the Bible, when it talks about him being raised, it said he learned obedience by the things he suffered. What have you learned from what you've gone through? And if you're going through something now, what might you gain by being valiant and going through it?
Yeah, real talk. And I mean, the only thing I think you guys hit on, I put so much else on that. It's the fact that I think going back to what Mike started when he read, just to summarize what he said, hey, faith must be tested for it to be real. I mean, I think that's, man, write that down, understand when you're going through stuff, that, hey, it don't become real until you go through the test.
Yeah.
Don't. And when the tests do come, where do you go? Because that's where your faith really is.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. If you have not already subscribed, okay, before we get into it, if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do that. And if you haven't listened to last week's episode, I want you to go do that too. But don't do that right yet. We're going to go through this, then I want you to go back to that. It was an important one. But in this particular episode, Mike threw something inside of the chat some time ago now. But I think it's very much relevant to everybody today, especially this community.
Yeah, so the title is, so you say you have faith. And the reason... The question. That was the question. Because it's easy to say it. Mm-hmm. It's easy to say it. And one of the verses that is referenced is James chapter 2, starting at verse 14. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? And the reason why this is important, man, is because we see so much stuff, you know, especially with this social media, right? And you have people that literally just create so many things. They got teaching programs, all types of stuff. But what's the foundation of that? What are their deeds really being traced back to? And this is something that I think we have to ask ourselves this question day in and day out, because we've gotten away from just our tribe and community feel so much. It's going to take some work to get back, but it's very necessary, right? Faith without work is dead. And every time that we help a brother or sister, especially the young people, we can't be putting our hand out looking to get a payday for that. And that's something that is going on in the community. Is very prevalent today. And so we wanted to just have a conversation and just really talk about, what is faith? What does showing our faith and showing our deeds really mean in the kingdom aspect?
No, yeah, I love it, man. Because I love James, and when he lays that out, like Martell was talking about, that's a hard hitting question, because people, and not just say people in general, it's easy to walk around and say, like Mike laid out, hey, I did A, B, C, and D, so now I'm gonna teach other people to do it, and then you get that whole fake it till you make it mentality, and you got people out here who are walking around presenting themselves like experts, and they never really had a success. Mm-hmm. It takes me back to where an individual came to us, with FIC, and we were looking for, no, it actually wasn't FIC. We were looking to do something around marriage. We was going to do a podcast and all this other stuff. So we were trying to, from a social media standpoint, get it set up, staged, and they came in, they said, hey, we're going to do this for you, blah, 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 blah. And my wife said, okay, what's your past customer base look like? Mm. And the person told us a couple, like, are you still working? Well, no. Well, why did they stop? Well, they wanted to take a pause. Well, long story short, what they doing wasn't working. But then they want to charge a crazy amount for us to use them, but there's no receipts. Mm-hmm. And so when I say, tie this back to faith without works, it's like, if we believe in God, we trust him. And what James is saying, okay, you say you got faith in all that, but man, your faith should be making you do certain things, meaning that you believe in such a way that you're going to walk without sin. Because you trust that God going to have that step ready for you because he told you to go down this path. So you're going to stay on that path. Path is dark. You're taking every step, trusting him. That you got to move in something. And that's what I take out of that is like, you got to be moving in your faith. Something should be happening. You should be moving forward, not sitting still. So I'm going to shut up for a minute.
Please keep going.
But I mean, the point I'm getting at, that's what I mean by it. Because people are, and it's in the church too, let's be real. People are like, oh man, believe. And as soon as trouble come to their house, God go out the door. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's all over. It's in business, it's in churches, it's all over. So the question is, we got to check ourselves. Be like, okay, is my faith dead? I have to check myself. Be like, okay, if I believe in this, I need to be walking in it. Yeah.
That's a fact. I think, let's think about something real quick. James was Jesus' brother.
He was. He was.
I feel like that might just be, it might seem like a subtle, small thing, but we got to remember, like,
he grew up in the house.
He grew up
in the house.
In the house with the guy.
Yes.
The King of Kings. Mm-hmm. And so, like, up close and personal, he got to see the character of this man and how he developed. Mm-hmm. And then, and James is the one who talks about, consider it all joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because the testing of your faith produces endurance.
Yes.
What? This is the guy, Jesus' brother is saying this. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, look, faith without works, that's dead. This is Jesus' brother. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if that don't say nothing, I mean, come on now. Like, the thing is, because we have the information, because we have the Bible, because we can go to a Sunday service and everything, we attach our whole faith to the tradition, the religious act of being a Christian. Okay, and so as a Christian, when people look at, okay, what does it mean to be a Christian? What does it look like to be a Christian? Okay, they'll say, okay, I go to church. I went to church on Sunday. Sweet. I pray. Okay, I prayed today. I prayed over my food, so I prayed today. Sweet. I read. Do I have to read the Bible if I'm a Christian? I have to read the Bible. So I pulled up my Bible app and it said version of the day or verse of the day is this. I read it and then I put it down. I've read my Bible for the day. I am a good Christian. But it's like the reality is, all of that, that's good, cool, keep doing it. That's fantastic. But the true believers, the ones who are actually who are going to make it, the kingdom citizens, those are the ones who took the narrow path. Now, when we talk about this narrow path, it's actually a lifestyle. Yeah. It's deliberately making decisions day in and day out to not just say, not just study, but to live what the Bible actually says. And so I don't really care much about how many verses you can tell me. I don't really care much about like, I went to church for this many years, or I've been in the church since I was this age, or I served in this ministry, and I'm the deacon, so I should be. Stop. You're only fooling yourself.
That don't happen, does it, Martell? It happens too often, but go ahead.
Too often. You're only fooling yourself because you ain't fooling God. Because the reality is, you might be able to trick your congregation, you might be able to trick your neighbor. That's cool. You might not be able to trick your wife, but you definitely ain't tricking God. And that's the fact. And if you ain't trying to please him, then whatever you're doing, it don't matter.
Yeah. Right. It's funny because it made me think about like academia, right? Where you were in an academic environment, you got a study guide, right? And if you could memorize the study guide, ace the test, or some people, they were just cheating, they still got an A. I got an A. And what happened is we had a whole generation where previously we respected like apprenticeship. We respected, really learning something, not necessarily worrying about the payday right now. We understand the value is actually getting the experience, the knowledge and the experience. Because if we have the knowledge and the experience, one day we know we'll be able to get paid. But we have to actually learn this through and through before we're looking at a payday. Fast forward to today, you got people, they learn a little bit of something. They may read half of a book. Now, all of a sudden, they putting everything like they a guru on social media and they want to teach it.
Of course.
And it's like, well, hold on now, listen. You're trying to teach something that you don't even fully understand because you're trying to skip steps. And I think it just really made me think about academia because when I was in the corporate world, or even now, I mean, I've seen so many people that has these degrees and they're, supposed to go to this school and they had this GPA. But if you put them in a real world environment, man, a lot of these people are freezing up.
Yeah.
And I'm looking like, what is going on? But see, the problem is you thought you could get the degree, skip the experience, and still achieve on a high. It doesn't work like that. If you have your 10,000 hours and then you go get a higher education degree, then that's going to add to your already solid foundation. You can't skip the foundation and start building the roof.
No.
It don't work like that.
No, and as you was talking, Mike, it's like, I was thinking about sports, you got, and we talk about this all the time too, you got to get some reps in.
Yeah.
A lot of reps.
Yeah, you got to get a lot of reps, depending on what it is, and just using sports as an analogy too, and having faith. We all had coaches. The coaches got a plan. You got to buy into that coach's plan as one of his players, or her players, whatever. But the point though is that when in wrestling, they had us go through all these drills. And coach like, up downs. I'm like, all this stuff you doing. I'm like, this is stupid. I'm sitting there like, well, I need all this, and I can get the calisthenics piece, right? You got to have your win, but they got us doing these drills where you like on all fours and you got to like jump up, boom, left, and then you go right, and then it's all these different drills. And you're sitting there like, man, come on, why I got to keep doing this? The point I'm getting is that I had to have faith, we have to have faith in it, that the coach know what he's doing. And if we have faith that the coach know what he's doing, we're going to practice it hard. And we're not going to quit. Cause it was times where I'm like, man, I'm just tired. You even try to fake like I'm something wrong. Get back in there, So the point though is that you can't see the outcome yet. You can't see why you're going through all these drills until you get on that mat and you start wrestling. And even in practice sometimes, you don't even understand it because you like, I'm not seeing it. But then, boom, you in there and last quarter and you tired as I don't know what. And you're not even thinking, you just doing. Now you see, okay, I have faith. I did the work. Now I see why I had to do the work. You know what I'm saying?
I feel it coming. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. I'll let you go ahead and say it.
What, embrace the process? Yeah, you gotta. I mean, that's pretty much laying it out where it's steps to this thing. Everything. When we say this thing, everything, including the kingdom. We always talk about, we're actually, the reason why we can have these type of fruitful conversations is because we all study individually and we're studying intensely. So when we come together, it's really like verbal sparring. We're sharpening each other because we study the same playbook. It kind of like sports, like you said. When you have a program that embodies excellence, everybody's showing up with their best, because they understand that this means something to us. This is nothing to play with. And so when we talk about doing our work, you used an example earlier about the mentorship. When, we're not looking necessarily for, to build this for outcomes or exterior motives. We're really looking to impact kids. We're looking to step into gaps, show them examples of godly men that are actually living out Christian values. Not saying that we're perfect. We're showing them that this is what true manhood looks like. And whatever comes from that's God's will, but we find joy in taking the daily steps, embracing the process, and letting the scoreboard do what it's going to do. We're not concerned about that. We know watching is not going to change it.
No, it's not.
So you say you have faith. Let me ask you this. So if you have faith, then I guess tell me, what was the reason that you got up and did what you did today? Why do you wake up in the morning? Why do you go to work? So you say you have faith. Okay, cool. So when was the last time that you listened to God and then he told you to do something that you didn't want to do? What did you do? So you say you have faith, okay? When that bill came up and you didn't know if you were going to be able to pay it, was your first step to pray? Or was your first step to go find out what loan you could get from X, Y, and Z? Okay, so you say you have faith. All right, cool. Your kid is now upset. They're not getting the grades that you want them to be getting in school. They're getting upset. The teacher's getting upset. Did you pray about it? Did you see what the Bible said about it? When you came to the situation of you're about to get married with somebody, did you study what the Bible actually said about marriage? Why are you married? Do you even understand the reason for marriage? So you say you have faith. I'm just trying to kind of put all of these things together, because if you have faith, then you live in a way that communicates that you have faith and you don't have to say it. That's just the fact. He was talking about the daily process. It's a day in, day out thing. It's the way in which you live your life. It's a lifestyle. It's not something that today I think of, and because I'm inspired to do it, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to be cool today. That's something that might last a week. Cool. That's maybe if you're really about it, you might last a month. But if you have faith, then it's something that can be seen from years, decades. The person that I am today is my answer to the question of do I have faith? I would just say, look at my life. Are you kidding me? Look at where I am right now. And I'm not talking about like, oh, I'm super successful, therefore you should see the faith that I have. I would say, look at the sacrifice. Look what I didn't do. Look at who I'm not talking to. Look at the things I didn't get involved with. Look at the people I'm not involved with anymore. That's the faith that you can see in the life of an actual believer. And again, this isn't I'm trying to build myself up. I'm just trying to communicate. Like when you read this thing, it's not just for information. This should change you.
And for the record, he's talking about the Bible on your phone.
That's the fact.
Yes. And you're hitting it. It's like faith without deeds is dead. So the point you making, and you're making it very, I think, straightforward. I hope that everybody capture it, is that our faith is going to dictate what we do. And everybody got faith in something.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't have faith in God, you're not going to do the things that actually he tells you to do. If you have faith in yourself and the world, you're going to do what the world tells you to do, and you're going to follow that direction, and your outcomes are going to be drastically different. So, I mean, James is definitely referring to having faith in God, because there's people who claim, and let's talk to the Christians here for a minute, who say they follow Christ, because that's what Christian mean. You follow Christ. You are a follower of Christ, okay? And they got the name, but they're not following. And what do you mean by that? Everything you talk, hey, are you studying the Word? Are you understanding who God is? Is God giving you the purpose in your life? Are you worried about what people are gonna say about you, what they're gonna, how they're gonna talk about you? Or are you worried about what God wants you to do? And faith is gonna make you do some things that other people who don't know God are gonna look at you like you're crazy. They are. I mean, look, when I got my call to the ministry, when God told me, hey, I want you to be a minister. We lost. It was funny, and not funny, but, our pastor said, understand, things are gonna change. People who were your friends are no longer gonna be your friends. You're gonna be off the invite list of some things. So we okay, whatever, yeah. So we doing, what we're called to do. Sure enough, the friends we have today, man, I said we probably only got about 10% that we had before accepting the call. And it ain't no hate towards those individuals. We just don't hang with them no more because we do different things. And does some of it hurt? Yeah, because you think you're tight with people. So the point I'm saying is that the faith that we have in God and the way we're trying to walk changed our environment. And look, I'm not perfect with my faith, by the way. Understand, there's always challenges to our faith too. You're gonna always have a new challenge to it. But man, you should be a different person though. That's the point I'm making. You should be different than what you were a year ago, 10 years ago, or whenever you started your walk. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no, essentially what we're saying is, man, less talk, more action. Just show, it's a quote I always think about where your actions are so loud, we barely hear what you're saying anyways. You know what I'm saying? That's how I always live, because I'm not really thinking about what people are talking, which makes the internet so hilarious to me, because I know 85-90% of it is nonsense. Most people won't even fact check what people are saying. Some people say the wrong thing with so much confidence, it almost sounds like it could be correct.
Yeah.
Or maybe a part of it is correct, but then they said a whole bunch of nonsense. So you say you have faith. The one thing that I would say to everybody is, this is something that, it's really a personal thing between God and yourself, but every day you gotta be asking yourself, like, all right, what do I need to do to answer the call to fulfill God's wishes? End of the day, if you're getting closer to God's will, whatever happens, you can consider it pure joy, even if it is a trial or a tribulation, because you understand even this is a part of God's will. It is a lot of times it's not what happens to you, it's how you react and what can be done through that interaction. So my one thing I would lead the people is just saying, be mindful daily of how you can get closer to God's call in your life.
Man, I think last thing that I'll say is line up all of your actions with the Word. Because the Bible talks about don't be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving make your requests known unto God, and let His peace, which passes all understanding, keep your heart and your mind. So it's like the last time you were anxious, what did you do? Right? And it's like when he says, okay, bring all the tithes into the storehouse, so then you meet in my house. Prove me in this, and see if I will not open the windows of heaven so much that there won't be room enough for you to receive it. When you gained, did you give?
No, I hear you. And I'm going to jump in for a minute and say this, because I like what Martell said. And I'm going to come at it from a point that new person said, hey, you know what? I'm just starting my walk. Because when we throw the word faith out, I think some people we try to do this comparison game sometimes, and you look at this person and you're like, man, they strong in their faith. They doing A, B, C, and D. And I'm just talking, when I first started my walk, I didn't have faith like that. You know what I'm saying? And I just didn't have it because I was like, it was new to me. Yeah. So I'm just kind of like a baby. I was a baby, like, you know, in a sense where my mentality was like, okay, God showed me this little something, but can I believe him on this other thing? Mm-hmm. So you say you have faith. At that point in my life, I was trying God. You know, I was like, okay, Lord, you just showed me this. I know you're real. I do want to follow you. And I would try, okay, let me do this, you know, because I'm leading to do it. And then God would show the results. And then it builds, kind of like a mountain after a while. You start to realize your faith gets stronger. That's that whole James 1, welcome our trials and tribulations. So I'm saying this to those people who are starting your walk. You're not gonna be like Moses and Abraham right out the gate. It's a process. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's a process to build our faith up.
I'm glad that you brought that. I'm definitely glad that you brought that in because it is, I mean, so we've been talking about getting the reps in, building it up. It is something that has to be built up. Yeah. Like if you just get into it, you can't, I mean, if your goal is to be a bodybuilder and you ain't never lifted before, you can't expect to go toe to toe with Arnold in his prime.
After the first month.
After the first month. Like, come on, man. Like, that's not even realistic. So definitely what he just said, get into it. Get those reps. And then when you start having those moments, I would start documenting. Keep yourself a little bit of a prayer journal because then you'll start to be able to have those wins. And then when a new situation comes up, you can pull back. This is what God did in this situation. Yeah. So I know he can get me through this.
There you go.
You see?
Yeah.
Hearts and minds.
Clear.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. We appreciate you for being here. Hey, look, if you have not already subscribed, go ahead and do that now. We appreciate it. And then I see you got something on your shirt, and I think that relates to where we are. Could you go ahead and explain?
Hey, Man 2.0, second Saturday every month. Check us out, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We're at 28202 Franklin Road, and that's where the Freedom Center is, where we are right now. We also have service on Sundays, 11:30 a.m., Freedom in Christ Ministry. Join us, come on out, be a part of what we're doing.
Damn. And with that, we'll see y'all later. No, I'm kidding. So today, we got a special topic that I absolutely love. Mike introduced it. You want to go ahead and explain a little bit?
Yeah, so it's a biblical verse that I was actually studying, just reading, and I was having a conversation with my sons about. And it was basically talking about the scripture where Peter was he was walking on water at one point when he was focused on Jesus. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting to me because, you know, we're not supposed to question God, you know, in a lot of ways, but the reality is we do have questions and we do have moments where we're like, hey, if this is what it is, like, show me something, God, you know, and this was one of those instances where God showed him something. So, okay, cool. I walked on water. Come to me. And when he was focused on Jesus, he was walking because his sight was completely focused on his end goal, which was getting to Jesus. Once he started to break his focus and notice that, you know, the winds were coming in and he's like, oh man, I'm actually doing it. That's when he started sinking. And so it was just a good conversation point because I think in life, this happens to all of us at some point, probably multiple times in life where we set our goals to accomplish something. And sometimes we kind of like, man, we actually doing this thing. Mm-hmm. And it's just until when you start feeling yourself too much and you break your focus, that's when things start going down, you know, and you're like, oh man, what's going on? And then you try to get back to where you were, which is almost like gambling. Yeah. You come in with a certain amount, I'm going to just play $100. All right, I won. Let me just, you know, 200. Mm-hmm. And then before you know it, that thing may take a turn. You're like, well, let me just get back to where I was and then I can leave. So that was the topic. And I just wanted to, you know, open it up. What do you guys think?
Man, I love the story as you was talking about that you're right, that focus. And Peter was all in, to your point, and that his faith was there. But all of a sudden, when that faith got shaky, And that's so true, I think, and with our human nature, period. And I like how you laid out the fact that, you know, you start to do it, you trust in God. He's taking you somewhere he ain't never took you before, and you just walking. You ain't even worried about what's below you. You know what I'm saying? You ain't even looking. You looking at him.
Yeah.
So you ain't worried about what's going on around you. But as soon as we start to look around us, as soon as we start to think, oh man, I done came a long way. Yeah. Oh, look how far up I am.
Yeah.
Look what I done done.
Yep.
That's exactly when we lose focus and we run into a wall or we hit something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, and this literally just hit me. I ain't never thought about it this deep, and I ain't never thought about it in this way before until you mentioned the boat. And then this all came to me. So I'm gonna throw it out here real quick. Now there's a handful of different elements in that particular story of, you know, him getting off of the boat. Because if you think about it, he was in this boat, there was a storm. Rain was coming, the wind was blowing. It looked like a terrible situation. The dudes he was with was scared. Mm-hmm. He was terrified. Like he it seemed like his life could be threatened right now. It could be over. And so the dudes that he was with, they was terrified. And then they saw there was a figure. They didn't know first look. It was not clearly defined. It was like, I think there's a ghost out there, right? Mm-hmm. And so they terrified. They were terrified. And he's like, wait a minute, is that Jesus? Is that Jesus? What? Now think about the scenario here. Like we are in water. I imagine that there is not land close by, right? You can't just jump off, go over here, and be good to go. You get off this boat, you might die. Mm-hmm. Period. Mm-hmm. And then they see into the distance a figure. They don't first understand what it is. Then they identify it as Jesus. And it's like, oh my goodness. Hey, that's Jesus. That's Jesus right there. And so the other guys, they still like, bro, it's a storm. And that's a ghost. You crazy. I don't know what, look, you seeing stuff. And so he had to, first he saw Jesus out there. He saw Jesus walking on the water. Jesus said like, look, you come on out here. Now this is ridiculous, right? The dudes he was with was terrified. They not doing that. I don't care who's saying come out here. They ain't going off this boat. They are terrified. It's a storm. It's windy. You get off this boat, you are drowning, and there is no coming back. That's it. He was looking at Jesus, and he decided that, you know what? Because Jesus is there, I can do this now, which is a complete shift. Still in this boat, in the middle of this storm, he decides to get off of this boat. He takes a step and he's walking on water now. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. And as he stays focused on Jesus, he can stay walking on the water. But as soon as he starts to actually remember, oh my goodness, I'm still in the middle of a storm. This is crazy. I don't know anybody who's ever done this. I've never done anything like this before. I am way out of my range right here. This is not something that I do. Okay? Mm-hmm. He starts to remember that he's a human being. He's a person. Mm-hmm. And then he starts to sink. But here's another part, another element of this story is Jesus was like, took him out of the water. Jesus came and rescued him out of the water. His faith got shaky. He started to sink, but Jesus did not just say, well, you didn't have enough faith. Sorry, bud. Looks like it's too late for you. You had a chance. You was good on them first couple steps, but now you're underwater. Sorry, bud. But he grabbed him out and rescued this man. Think about this. We're having a conversation about faith right now. Mm-hmm. He had to have enough faith to say, I'm not listening to what y'all talking about. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to sit here and co-sign this fear that y'all got. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to separate. Second thing, he had to have enough faith to get off of the boat. He was in a safe spot. Mm-hmm. Well, the safest spot that he had. Yeah. He had to get off of the boat. And then not only that, he had to start taking steps like to move away from the comfort zone. Mm-hmm. He had to get away from it. And then he started to sink. And then Jesus came and got him.
It kind of gives me another perspective. We talk about faith here, period. And, you know, everybody's like, well, y'all talking about, faith and walking on water and all this other thing. What they got to do with me? It got everything to do with what we do. Because everything we do in life, you got to have faith in something. I mean, Mike even said it. I think whether you think you don't have faith, you got faith in something. Mm-hmm. And the question is, where is your faith at? Yeah. And the fact that what we're talking about here, when you focused on Jesus, he going, and you got your eyes on him, you're going to do things that you are not able to do because it's him doing it. And when you do lose sight and you start to go sink in that water, we can still call on him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So where did, now let's come on back to where people are today. Where's your faith?
So what's cool and interesting about that story is, as he's pulling him out, he's rescuing him, like you said. He says, "Why did you doubt?" Mm-hmm. Like, you were doing it, And so that's the part where I feel like everybody should be able to relate in these moments, because we've all had these moments. Mm-hmm. And, with me raising 4 sons, I go through these discussions every single day. I'm telling them, like, listen to my voice. You're having moments and you're like, well, what if this happens? What if something negative happens? Listen, it takes the same energy and effort to focus on what if something positive happens? What if something great happens? Mm. Don't talk to me about what you think may be negative. If you're going to focus on any potential outcome, which you shouldn't really be doing, you should be staying in the moment. But let's say we're going down that path. Why not focus on something positive? Yeah. And that's the humanness in us, that we do have moments of doubt. Yeah. But that's why we have to go back to the word, and we got to feed ourselves, and we have to understand that we're only at our best. We're only going to do some insurmountable things, some amazing things, when we truly put our faith in what God can do. Yes. We can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. Mm-hmm. Not by just us doing. Peter, if he would have jumped on the water by himself, he probably would have drowned. He probably would have died. Yep. And people was like, well, look, God didn't save him. God didn't tell him to do that. Mm-hmm. Now, in this moment, this was an example of you stepping out on faith and having a holy moment. Yep. We don't know when those moments are going to come. You're right. We don't. We can pray for them. Yeah. We can do whatever. But when it's the time, it's the time. Our only job is to be in that moment and keep our focus pointing on what we need to focus on, which is going towards God. That's fact. That's fact. And as you was talking, man, especially being a father, I think about my parents, right? I think, and my dad, and we had these conversations sometimes. He said something to me, and this is like before I even moved, I was an adult, and I didn't even know this happened. So like, you point it to your kids, and you tell them, hey, A, B, C, and D, and laying it out to them. So I remember my dad talking about how, hey, I didn't know what would happen when you left that door. I had to trust. Yeah. And my mom, same thing. Hey, I had to trust God gonna take care of you. Yep. So I remember I was in elementary school, and we ain't gonna get into details of the period. But anyway, so one of my buddies, we was in 7th grade, I think, he got a hold to a car. Don't ask no questions, y'all. He ain't no license, all right? But anyway, so the point was, he was like, man, let's roll to the party, little house party. And I'm like, no, y'all go ahead. I'm gonna walk, because I'm like, it ain't happening, right? Mm-hmm. So I can hear my old man in my head right now, and I can just see the paddy wagon coming to get us all. So I'm like, nope, ain't happening. He doing it.
Not me.
So fast forward, boom, party over, later on that night, them cats had an accident. Okay, They 12 years old. What you expect? Yeah. Anyway, so the point though is that later, years on, this is like, I'm in high school, like, driving, all that. My dad shared a story where, I didn't know this, one of our neighbors overheard the conversation, and them asking me, hey, why don't you roll? Because the other guy stayed on the block too. Hey, and he said, yeah, your son, he didn't go. He said, no. Now, my dad didn't tell me when that happened. He said years later, but what happened was he had more trust in me from that point going forward. But he placed his faith in, okay, I got to trust the guy's gonna watch over him. He's gonna do the right thing, and you gotta place your faith. And like in your boys, and if Martell, when that time comes, you had kids. It's like parents gotta place their faith in God, or hey, God gotta take care of them. Yeah. But you plant the seed though.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that took faith. That's to me, that's some serious faith though. As a parent, you gotta have it because you can't control when they're out of your presence all the time.
Your faith gets truly tested. I was just talking to my friend earlier today about this. Having kids and raising kids is some of the most humbling things that you can do. Mm. It's things I didn't know true fear until I had kids, to be honest, because the way I live my life, I didn't fear. I used to say, and it's kind of like, sometimes you have a snippet of wisdom before you have the full capacity, and you can kind of abuse that a little bit. Because I used to have this saying where, you know, when we're coming up, people say, man, you scared her? And I look somebody dead in their eyes and I say, man, I fear God. And that's me telling them I don't fear nothing else. And I still believe that. But now I have more respect for what I'm saying. It's not me boasting myself, oh, I'm this, you know, tough guy or whatever. It's more so, no, I fear God. Like, I have the ultimate respect. God is in control of everything. So regardless of how good of a father I want to be, how, you know, my daily deposits into my kids, nothing I can do can cause them to do what God has for them. It has to be in them. Only thing that I can do is just try to help them along their path. Yeah. Put the tools in the toolbox so when they go to look for that tool, okay, cool, it's there. Versus them just kind of, I don't have it. Now they have to use their mind at 9, 12, 17, because we know they're kids. They may not make that right. That's not even their fault. Yeah. It's really more of a testament to who's around these kids, who's putting the tools in their toolbox. Yeah.
There's a big difference between living by faith and thinking you living by faith. Because it's like when you, for example, when you wake up in the morning and you go to brush your teeth, right? When you squeeze the toothpaste bottle, you expect the toothpaste to come out and land onto the toothbrush. You've done it so many times that you're not doubting that it's going to actually happen. When you flip the light switch, the light done came on 100,000 times at this point. Every day, you good. When you inhale, oh my goodness. You're not concerned that it's not going to happen. It just happens, right? You just move in that because you trust that it's going to be the same way as it's happened 100,000 times before. And so you just walk in that now at this point. That's faith. Okay. And so it's like when we put it into this context, I think people kind of get a little spooky about it. Like they try to make it all a whole bunch of extra stuff. Or something that it's not. It's like, okay, well, if I have faith in God, that means that, you know, maybe I should go to a local pool and see if I can walk on water. Because then if I do that, then that must mean that the Holy Spirit is with me, right? Right? Because, I mean, the dude did it in the Bible, too. Yeah. So, but it's like, wait. You get way too spooky, big dog. Check this out. So, open up your Bible, right? And then read any verse where it says in him or in whom, because following those words is a promise. Yeah. Okay. And then what I want you to do is after you've read that verse, I want you to really digest it, understand what it actually is saying, and then start to talk about it. What is that? Well, how does that relate to you? How does that relate to your life today? How could you actually apply this? And then I want you to just do exactly what it says, the way it's written out. That is faith. Because after that, you have to expect that whatever God said is going to come from you doing that is going to happen. And I promise you, God is not a liar. No. God isn't just putting a bunch of random stuff in here just to be like, oh, psych, got you. No. Once you actually do it, you see that it actually happens. And then you start to get that same sort of mentality when you squeeze the toothpaste bottle and it comes out onto the toothbrush and you flip the light switch. It's happened so many times, you can trust it, right? There you go. And that's now living by faith. Yeah,
it's repeatable. And I think, and what you laid it out great, Martell. I think the other part is too, we got to talk about the other moment in the story that you guys have brought up, is when Peter lost focus. Yeah. And he started to go down. And that's real too, because we all human, because every last one of us has a place where our faith gets challenged. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad, like you said, how you didn't really experience fear until you had kids, because now, you know, you got something you care so much for that you cannot, you can protect yourself. You have confidence in what you can do and all that. But for them, you can't be there all the time. So that's a different thing. And it kind of brings that like, man, it's not controllable for me. So it requires us having faith. But then the other side, and I'm going to use myself as an example, it's places where I'm like, you know, I'm solid, and then something will happen new. And I'm looking at Jesus, but then I look away because I'm thinking about what could happen, what's happened in the past in the world and all that. And I lose sight and I start sinking. My faith gets weak. You know what I'm saying? But the great thing is that when Jesus grabs you, he pulls you up and you get reminded, like, I got this. You don't, I got it. Then, like you said, you start to get confidence, like, okay, I've been down this road before. Because every time we go down, I've seen this before. God done showed up in this place before. You know, so now my faith is stronger because I went through something. Sometimes we got to go through and fall in that water, get pulled up to get our faith strengthened.
Yeah, no, it's a deep thing, man, because when you're called, you know and understand like your purpose and who you are in life, that comes with responsibilities. So myself, for example, I just love history, right? And I study the great warriors that have come before, you know, and just won at great battles. A part of you being a great warrior is you have to just, you know, have a unique ability to be intentional about every moment, because your reflexes have to be extremely on point. But then you have to, everything is based on faith. You can't be thinking too far in the future, because when you go out to battle, you may or may not come home. And you got to make your peace with that before you ever touch a battlefield. And so for me, looking at myself as, you know, a soldier of God, I've always kind of had that mentality. So the reason why I bring up the story about the kids is because we don't know what's been implanted in these kids yet. You know, you can assume, well, your father is cut a certain way, you know, the boys are going to be. That's not necessarily the case, though. We've all met people where I know guys that, you know, their fathers they're cut a certain way, but their kids are completely different. And we got to embrace that. So me going through it, I'm like, man, it's a humbling experience, because that C word is coming in. I can control my mind because I know I fear God and nothing else. It's cool. Whatever comes my way, we're good with it. But we can't control how they're going to react to situations. And that's where, going back to your point, when God truly is going to test you, he's going to send a test to you. My test is not going to be the same as Rodney's test. Rodney's test is not the same as Martell's test. His test is not the same as your test. Everybody is going to be challenged in their own specific way. And that's when you seeking that knowledge, seeking to be one with the Holy Spirit and have that God. That's when these answers some of them are going to be revealed to you, because you understand, listen, I have to go through this. I can't try to go around it. You can't, as much as you want to go around some of these tests because they don't feel good, you're going to keep getting your lessons until you conquer them. Trust me, I've seen people try to outmaneuver lessons, for a lifetime. And you like, listen, bro, at 50 years old, like, the same lesson keeps coming.
Yeah, you know, but that outmaneuver piece is another F word you used before.
F word?
Fear.
Okay.
Not that F word.
Forgive me.
We talk about faith. So the other F word is fear. So that fear is what causes that whole trying to maneuver around it, not addressing the test. Because it is fear. Because people will get everything else like, oh, well, hey, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to deal with the problem head on. I'm not going to go to God with it. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm going to just ignore it. It's fear that stops that. So when we get, our faith gets tested, we can either succumb to the fear or we can just trust in God and have faith that he's going to take care of it. It's one or two things. You know, because doing nothing is being fearful.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
I think there's no coincidence that in the Bible, when it talks about having the full armor, the shield is faith. It's the shield of faith.
Yeah.
Because when the enemy is coming, and it says the shield of faith is meant so that you can actually block the flaming arrows of the enemy. The enemy is coming for your faith. He wants you to doubt. Think about it. And y'all know this is my story, my favorite story. Let's go back to Genesis here. What he did in the garden when the serpent came up to Eve and Adam was with her. What he did was he didn't say, "You're stupid, you're ugly, and you're not going to make it in life." No. He said, did he really say that? All them trees. You saying did he really say you can't eat from this one? And so that brought doubt. That was the first sign of doubt. And so it's like, oh, well, you know what? And then we're thinking about, okay, well, how in the world did this play out? It's like, okay, so Eve didn't get the direct word from God. Adam did.
Yeah.
So it's like she was getting more so secondhand knowledge. Now that's a topic about reading the Bible for yourself, but we're not going to go there today. Not there today. But the thing is, the enemy, Satan, introduced doubt, and that doubt no longer did she have faith in, well, you know what? God said, well, Adam told me that God said this, and therefore we should be good with all of the other trees. We don't need that one. But it was like, well, this one's going to make you more like God. And so she's like, well, shoot. Well, maybe what he did say wasn't enough. Maybe I should be more like this. Maybe I need to go over there and do this and that. And so it's like the enemy, when the enemy comes at you with whatever temptation, whatever he's hitting you with specifically, just know that he wants you to get to a point where you don't believe that you can make it, that you can't but possibly believe in God, because whatever God said must be false. It's not going to work for you. That's what the enemy is coming for.
Yeah.
That's why the armor is, you got the word of God, which is the sword. And then you got the shield, which is the faith, so that you can block all of that garbage. Because it's said, because think about this, okay, when you have a shield and you're blocking, it's so that you are protected from a direct attack. Okay. And the enemy is the one who is directly attacking you. And it's the shield of faith, because faith is me saying that no matter what's coming at me, no matter what you say, no matter what's happening around me, I believe in this, period.
Yep. No, you're right. And one thing about, just real quick, in that when Satan came and spoke to her, she switched having more faith than what the enemy was saying versus what God told her. So fear might stop us from acting on what we need to act on and pass the test, but putting our faith in the wrong things, having the wrong shield, is going to put us in a bad situation. Because now we're working for the enemy.
Yeah, exactly. And so what's so interesting about this? I'm listening, I'm thinking, going through my process, right? And so after the doubt creeps in, right? I'm going back to Matthew's story with Peter, Peter and Jesus. After he started looking around, doubt crept in.
Yep.
Okay. Then once he started sinking, because he took his focus off of God, he became the other D word. He became discouraged. Because instead of him swimming or trying to save himself, he's crying out, "Lord, save me."
Yeah.
Oh, now you want to get saved? I thought you had it figured out. You was focused on that. And see, that's the reason why I was thinking about it, is because that's what I'm saying because I do this myself. We all do this. We want to take our sights off of what we know we're supposed to be doing based on the word of God. We get ourselves in a situation that we put ourselves into, and then we want to cry out, "God, get me out of this.
Help me.
Hey, I need your help." You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because it's like, We all do it. It's the humanness in us, but it's like, why we keep doing it?
Yeah.
Instead of just doing the first place, man, just stay focused on the main thing, which is God.
And you guys, I know, because we get to that point.
Yeah.
So, because we can go on for this for a while, but this is some good stuff. So I just, how can we close this out in a way and put a bow on it so people can walk away and kind of, they getting it, but really kind of sum it up for them?
I want to just make a contrast real fast, and then I'm going to tie it into the summary. Okay. So
we trust you. We trust you.
So I talked about Eve, and then we've got the story of Peter. Okay. And so there was the introduction of doubt into their minds. Okay. Which then caused a range of different issues. And for some, it affected everybody, literally after that, everybody. And so the contrast was when Jesus he had fasted for 40 days, 40 nights, and then he was tried by the enemy. It was another one-on-one, well, 1-on-2-ish, but Adam wasn't saying nothing. But it was a one-on-one situation. He was talking directly to Jesus. He said, hey, look, homie, I see you doing your thing out here. Let me take you on this mountain. Look, all of this could be yours if you just go ahead and bow down to me. I've got it. Adam and Eve, they handed it to me. I've got the authority to now give you all of this. You just got to bow down to me, and it's good. The difference between what Eve did, the difference between everybody before that, the difference was what Jesus did was he started to speak the word of God. Mm-hmm. And he believed it. He had faith in it. He spoke it. And he was defending himself from the attacks of the enemy, and he refused to doubt in that situation. Mm-hmm. I think in every story, every Bible story, there's a hall of fame of faith. There was Abraham. He was in that joint.
Hebrews, yep.
Yep. There's a hall of fame of people who stood on faith. People stand on business. We stand on faith around here. Okay. Yeah. And I think there's like 5 core elements of it. And I think one of them is first hearing the word, because faith comes by hearing by the word of God. And then you got to receive it. And when I say receive it, I think essentially you want to, that means understanding it. Like, okay, I read it or someone said it. And okay, so now let me try to put the piece together to actually understand what you're actually talking about. Because, if you read the King James, there's some verses in there that you might not understand if you just straight up read it as it is. But then receiving it, and then you got to believe it. That's when you get to the point of like, you know what? This is actually the truth. This is God speaking to me. I believe this thing. And then you start to speak it. People talk, people chant different song lyrics. People chant different quotes. People chant all these different things, and they think that it doesn't affect who they are. But what you say is a product of what's already in here. Mm-hmm. And after you start speaking something enough, you'll start to act like it. Yeah. And so once you start speaking the word, the next level of that is acting. It's acting. Mm-hmm. It's actually walking out what you've actually read, what you've received, what you believe, and what you know to be the truth. And that's walking by faith. That's living by faith at that point. Now, I think once you take any verse of the Bible or any promise of God and you take it through those different steps, you start to become a different person. You start to become a person who's not just haphazardly going through life. We've talked about this before, but you start to be a person who's truly, truly, and honestly living by faith.
That wasn't sure, by the way. But hey, I think it sums up kind of well. Yeah, and I think it takes, we're not trying to, we want to make sure the points across. And I think you did that. I think we did that. But there's more to it. There's more meat around this bone. Yeah. So faith is crucial. And you brought it up. I think 2 stories you brought up. And if people want the definition of faith, go to Hebrews chapter 11. It kind of talks about the heroes of faith, the definition of faith. But it starts there. This whole thing starts and ends right there without faith. Yeah. So guys, look, I know this is normally housekeeping piece, as you always tell us.
Housekeeping.
I did mine at the very beginning. Mike, want to lay it out for him?
Yes, sir. So we got merch, people. Whoop. Outlasting all obstacles. This is one of the taglines that we're offering just to support the people doing the real work. So come check us out on Instagram at DetroitInvestor_WCI.
Cool.
You got to live by faith to do that.
You do.
Outlast all obstacles.
Man.
Fact. Boom, get you a shirt today.
Yes.
Also, too, hey, look, if you're a roofer, right, and you're having issues with a bunch of different people who are, you've been spending thousands of dollars at this point in time buying leads, right? They're telling you, oh, yeah, I can help you with, I'll build together a Facebook campaign for you and X, Y, Z, and your business is going to blow up. Whoa. And then you find out that you talked to Susie, who's talked to the 60 other roofing companies, and she was looking for you to be $500 for her full roof replacement. But of course, ain't nobody doing that.
Nah.
And so that's just everybody who's on this list that they gave you. Stop dealing with that. We actually, Focus 417 is an advertising agency that is completely done for you. And we don't just get you the leads, because we know that's the easy part. We can get leads. We can get leads all day. But the thing is actually getting qualified appointments with people who actually have the money and want the thing that you actually do. So if you want to know more about that, the link is inside of the description. Now, YouTube, subscribe, please go ahead and subscribe. We definitely appreciate it. Like, share with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Hit that bell so you can be notified.
Hit the bell so you can be notified. And we will see y'all in the next episode.
Peace.
Peace.